Hey YouTubers, this is Demon0981 here, bringing you a new video. Now, this one's going to be a little different from my usual stuff, as I've said before. And this one may be a little late, but bear with me, it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, for a lot of us, during our childhoods, there's been one author that has influenced us a lot, in a way. There have been movies, there have been TV specials, there have been, and tons of books and stories. And it's not who you think I'm talking about. But the person that I'm talking about is Theodore Geisel, or as many of us better know him as Dr. Seuss. For the purpose of this video, I was originally going to post this around Dr. Seuss's birthday, but there have been some difficulties, as you can imagine. So to make up for this little hiatus, I've decided to put together a top 12 list of Dr. Seuss specials. Now, there may be a tie or two in this video list, but I will be able to explain some of these if you're not familiar. Oh yeah, also, one of these entries might be considered cheating as it's not technically a special, but it counts. So let's begin with number 10, or no, not number 10, number 12, sorry. And I'm going by the list I have here. Number 12 is Daisy Had Maisie. One of the most recent Dr. Seuss specials was to date. Airing, oh yeah, here we are. February 5th, 1995. It's adapted from the story by Dr. Seuss, as you can imagine. And it's mostly narrated by the Cat in the Hat. The special is about a young girl named Maisie McGrew, who, for some unknown reason, one day in school, has a daisy sprouting on the top of her head. This gets her ridiculed and made fun of by her classmates. It's to the point where her teacher has to bring her to the principal to find out what's going on. And when the principal came and figured out what's going on, they decided to call Maisie's parents in, as well as a doctor, a gardener, or people who might be able to help. While Maisie is recovered or resting in the nurse's office, a swarm of bees somehow detects her daisy and starts chasing after her. She's saved by a passing policeman who manages to catch the bees in his hat, but then chases after Maisie when she runs away even more. As you can imagine, there's this whole big chase that's going on and going every which way. It is until every adult makes it to the principal's office, with Maisie's father demanding to know where his daughter is. It's when she and the officer are jumping in through the window. And as soon as her mother sees the daisy, Maisie's mother faints. And then out of nowhere, the mayor comes in and singing a little tune, declaring that if he's reelected, he'll ban daisies from the town. And he gets the kids to sing and the song Daisy Had Maisie. Up until this business tycoon or entertainer or agent comes in and says he wants to manage Maisie and make her a star. And while her parents, and teachers and principal try to convince her not to go, she decides that she'd rather her be a star than being made fun of by her peers. So after a while, as you can imagine, fame and kind of faints on her to the point where she doesn't know what to do. She ends up running away and thinking that nobody really loves her. That's when the daisy starts plucking out its petals and the they love me not scenario. Oh, I'm not going to spoil the ending, I think, if you haven't seen the special, but I am going to say this. This is probably the only Dr. Seuss thing I've ever seen that Tim Curry is in it. Yeah, you heard me right. Tim Curry. Frankenfurter, Hexus, Drake, the devil from Legend. And Tim Curry in a Dr. Seuss special. Whatever. Now, on to number 11. And number 11 is The Grinch's the Cat in the Hat. It first aired May 20th, 1982. This is actually kind of a sequel to How the Grinch Stole Christmas, in a way, in that he's completely reformed from bad to good. But this does kind of raise some questions for me. And like, okay, and so is the Grinch actually good now, or is he still bad, or what's going on? And in terms of this Dr. Seuss universe. I'll explain later or why this kind of confuses me. But anyway, the special start is with the Grinch waking up feeling fantastic up until all he talks to is reflection, and who pretty much convinces him to turn bad once again, saying that he's kind of lost his ways. So in order to prove that he's a Grinch, and he tries to act as mean as possible. Meanwhile, cut to the Cat in the Hat at his house, was preparing for a picnic. Once he reaches that's the spot where he sets his picnic stuff down. Excuse me. The Grinch ends up rear-ending his car, or demanding he gets out of his way. And I love this little scenario here. The cat is apologizing to the Grinch for virtually no reason. And all the while he's packing up his picnic. Okay, you could just move the car. It's not like there's anywhere or else you could have had your picnic. But as trying to apologize to the Grinch, the cat kind of makes a small blunder by calling him Fur Face. Wait, no, not Fur Face, Green Face. This apparently offends the Grinch, and to the point where he actually chases after him in his car. Eventually, the cat does lose the Grinch, actually makes it back to his house safely, singing a little tune to himself. But just when the song is about to end, it starts distorting in a way, which kind of makes weirded out a bit. It, it isn't until he hears the Grinch's voice coming from inside his house. Once the cat goes inside, he sees what exactly caused him to distort in a way. Apparently, the Grinch came up with a sound distortion device, or with the flick of a switch, it can warp sound, distort one's speech, or pretty much take one sound and give it to another object or person. And during his villain song, yes, there's a villain song in this. The Grinch explains how this machine works. And when the cat snubs off by saying he can't make that the Grinch can't make up sound like anything he wants, well, he proves it by making the cat move like a cow. Once he proves his point, the Grinch races back to his house, and with the help of his dog Max, he sets up a tower, or where he can broadcast this machine in for what was the distance again? Oh yeah, 30 miles around. Pretty much, it's sending out beams of darkness. It's creating all sorts of chaos. And once the cat kind of has a little bit of enough of this, he starts questioning what makes the Grinch the way he is. And there's some sort of inner monologue song where it's kind of like he's giving the Grinch therapy, where he tries listing off things that might have set the Grinch off on this streak of badness. That is until he hits one thing that kind of rubs the Grinch the wrong way. Keep this one in mind. And the cat decides to make a house call to the Grinch, but it stopped when his field of vision is blocked by the dark house's beam. The cat decides to take refuge in a restaurant. As you can imagine, chaos ensues even more after all this is temporarily done. And the cat begins questioning even more. How can the Grinch be stopped? He hates cats, he hates dogs, he hates cows, he hates doves. So there's got to be something or somebody that the Grinch loves. As soon as he figures that out, he takes a crowd of people from the restaurant up to the Grinch's house, where they sing to him, reminding him of his mother. They're very clever. Because as the song continues, the Grinch starts feeling guilty about what he's done, to the point where he's actually crying and seeing a reflection of his mother in a pool of his tears, or is telling him to be good. After which, the Grinch reforms once again. And the movie almost repeats itself before Max turns the distortion machine on the Grinch's reflection. Now, when I was little and saw a trailer for this and possibly another Grinch-related special, for some odd reason, it kind of spooked me a bit. That the Grinch was antagonizing the Cat in the Hat. Or maybe it was a different Dr. Seuss special, I don't know. Number 10. And Awful Pock, Where Are You? Airing May 2nd, 1980. This one is kind of a little different than your usual Dr. Seuss specials in that it doesn't involve the Cat in the Hat, it doesn't involve the Grinch, it doesn't involve Horton and the elephant. But it kind of has a lesson into it, as we'll all find out. But basically, the story is about this young man named Pantofel Pock, who gets fired from his job at a pickle factory after his first day when he screws up. And believe me, I kind of feel for him. Especially when he gets back to his house and his family left him, it's in such disarray that even a basketball hitting the floor will make a hole on the floorboards. And that night, he makes a whip just to get away from it all. Which is answered by a good fairy wearing one of those little helicopter beanies. This fairy named McGillicuddy. He tells Pantofel that his wish has been answered, heard and granted, in the form of a flying piano that will take him anywhere in the world. All he has to do is play a certain set of notes in order to activate the piano's button system, I guess I can call it. Whichever button and Pantofel picks will be the destination where he goes. McGillicuddy demonstrates this by pressing the round the house button. And he tells him that if he ever wants to come back home, all he has to do is flick a little homing pigeon switch that comes out at the side of the piano. After a few tries, as I'm trying to get the piano to work, Pantofel succeeds and picks his first destination, which is the town of Grugan, which I guess is somewhere in mid-western Europe. And even though the townspeople of Grugan and welcome him with open arms, Pantofel lets it go to his head and kind of creates trouble for himself. To where the townspeople don't want him around anymore. The townspeople go to their prime minister, who suggests that they shoot him out of the sky with a cannon, and which forces Pantofel to go back home. When McGillicuddy gets word of this, he decides to take back the piano. But after hearing Pantofel beg for a second chance, the good fairy decides to give him another try, much to the chagrin of the other two fairies that are accompanying him. McGillicuddy presses a violet button, which sends Pantofel Pock to a mysterious destination. As it turns out, Pantofel ends up in the city of Kazmamopolis, which is kind of reminiscent of a mid-eastern civilization, like Baghdad, or something like that, where his eye catch the attention and of an eyeball dancer, or who's on her way to work for the king. And as you would suspect, he goes to the palace to, well, I guess, save her or from her job. The royal guards come after them, and before they are able to hit the homing pigeon switch, one of the guards snaps it off. So Pantofel comes to the conclusion if they can't go back home, they can go somewhere else. Excuse me if I'm butchering this name. Mifa Fifa, his love interest, picks the button, picks the white button, which begins to take them off into the sky, but somehow she slips off the piano, all is left behind. And where Pantofel ends up somewhere in the North Pole where he's being eyed at by a polar bear. Now, I have one little question here. Only the tip of the homing pigeon switch, which was snapped off, can't they still use the switch? Oh well, I guess if they did, could still have used the switch, there'd be no special. Oh, because McGillicuddy starts wondering where the piano is, he acquires the help of every good fairy in order to find it. Meanwhile, Pantofel's trying to get back to Mifa Fifa, but can't remember the location, and ends up pressing a bunch of random buttons, bring him to different locations, such as Spain, Africa, China, Hawaii, maybe Japan. All the while, the good fairy in chief is monitoring all of this. As each fairy is scattered around the world trying to find them. Once Pantofel finally remembers what Ed Biden McGillicuddy he pressed for him, he presses the violet button go back. And just before the good fairy in chief decides to call it quits and calls piano for himself, McGillicuddy calls in saying that he's found him. Now, it's your basic good ending. And Pantofel returns back to Casmonopolis to be with Mifa Fifa, but unfortunately the piano is broken, so they can't go anywhere. Mifa Fifa makes a wish, and the good fairies hear her. And bring them back to Pantofel's hometown. And apparently, the owner of the pickle works that Pantofel was originally fired from, decided to give him a second chance. And that's that's the end of the special. The moral is everybody deserves a second chance. And no matter how much of a screw up they are. Let's see here. Number 9. Dr. Seuss on the Loose. Now, this one is kind of one of my favorites for a number of reasons. Airing October 15th, 1973, unlike the other Dr. Seuss specials, this one's a 3-parter. I'm going to cut this part right now, but I'll get to the second part immediately after. So stay tuned.